This show is part of OnePlace, a daily network of focused briefings across the stories people follow most.
Welcome to our daily briefing. We are diving into the biggest legal battles and breaking crime stories from around the world to keep you informed on the developments that matter most today.
Tiger Woods fights to keep his medical records private.
A student kills 9 in a Turkish school shooting.
Attorney John Eastman is officially disbarred in California.
A Missouri man allegedly kills his father with a spear.
A man with a Joker-themed rifle arrested near Trump's course.
An Indiana woman threatened children with a handgun.
Arizona man charged with strangling his girlfriend.
Teenager arrested for the fatal shooting of an Uber driver.
First, the Tiger Woods case. Tiger Woods is currently embroiled in a significant legal battle regarding his right to privacy. Prosecutors in Florida are seeking access to his prescription drug records following a DUI charge and a crash that left his SUV on its side. The state wants to see the specific names of medications, dosages, and any warnings against driving that were issued with those prescriptions. Woods has pleaded not guilty, and his legal team is pushing back hard. They argue that he has a constitutional right to privacy regarding his medical history. While they acknowledge this right isn't absolute, they are demanding an evidentiary hearing. They want the state to prove these records are actually relevant to the criminal investigation before any sensitive information is handed over to the authorities for review.
The details from the scene of the crash on March 27th are quite telling. While Woods denied drinking any alcohol, he did admit to officers that he had taken some medications. However, the specific types were never named in the initial court documents. Investigators believe the crash happened while Woods was trying to pass a truck. If the judge eventually grants the subpoena for these records, the defense is already asking for a protective order. This would limit who can see the documents to just the prosecutors, law enforcement, and experts involved in the case. It is a high-stakes move for Woods, who was recently granted permission to travel for inpatient treatment. His formal arraignment is set for April 23rd, and this records dispute could set a major precedent for his defense strategy.
Now to the tragedy in Turkey. A devastating school shooting has shocked Turkey, marking the second such incident in just 2 days. In the southern province of Kahramanmaraş, a 14-year-old 8th-grade student opened fire at his school, killing 9 people and wounding 13 others. The scene was described as pure mayhem, with students desperately jumping out of first-floor windows to escape the gunfire. Interior Minister Mustafa Sifci confirmed the death toll and noted that several of the injured remain in critical condition. The attacker reportedly brought 5 guns and 7 magazines to the school in his backpack, weapons that authorities believe belonged to his father, who is a former police officer. This level of violence is extremely rare in Turkey, making the back-to-back nature of these school attacks even more distressing for the nation as they search for answers.
The details of the attack are harrowing. Video footage captured by a nearby resident shows the sheer panic as dozens of students fled through the courtyard, while roughly 15 gunshots echoed in the background. The governor reported that the shooter entered 2 different classrooms and opened fire randomly before he died during the incident. It is still unclear if he took his own life or if his death occurred during the general chaos of the response. In the aftermath, police detained the shooter's father, and the Justice Minister has launched an immediate investigation. This follows a separate shooting just 1 day prior in Şanlıurfa province, where an 18-year-old wounded 16 people at a vocational school before killing himself. The Turkish government is now facing intense pressure to address school security and the accessibility of firearms.
Next, John Eastman's disbarment. The California Supreme Court has officially ordered the disbarment of John Eastman, the lawyer who was a primary architect of the efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results. Eastman is well known for authoring the so-called coup memos, which outlined various strategies to prevent Joe Biden's electoral victory from being certified. The state's highest court issued a terse ruling that denied petitions for review from both Eastman and the State Bar of California. By doing so, the court effectively upheld the findings of lower courts that recommended his removal from the legal profession. His name has been officially stricken from the roll of attorneys in California, ending his ability to practice law in the state. This marks a final and significant professional consequence for his role in the legal challenges following the last election.
The legal battle over Eastman's license involved complex arguments about the nature of political speech. Lower courts had previously determined that while Eastman's statements were core political speech, they still warranted disbarment due to the nature of his actions. The State Bar had actually pushed for a different standard of review. But the Supreme Court's refusal to hear the case means the existing disbarment recommendation stands. Eastman's defense team had tried to shut down the proceedings entirely, arguing that the process was politically motivated. However, the court's decision signals an endorsement of the bar's findings regarding his conduct. This case has been watched closely as a test of how far attorneys can go in representing controversial political causes before their actions cross the line into professional misconduct. For Eastman, the road in California law has officially ended.
Moving to a Missouri murder. In a truly bizarre and gruesome case out of Missouri, 44-year-old Dustin Manns has been charged with the first-degree murder of his father, Robert Manns. The elder Manns was found dead in his home after his sister became worried when she hadn't heard from him for several days. When police arrived, they discovered the victim in his bedroom and noticed that his silver Dodge Ram was missing from the driveway. Dustin Manns was eventually tracked down in a neighboring county with the stolen vehicle. During his interview with investigators, Dustin allegedly made a shocking confession. He admitted to stabbing his father with a fishing spear, also known as a fish gig, and then striking him with the handle. He further admitted to asphyxiating his father until he was dead. The fishing spear was recovered by police at the crime scene.
The details provided in the probable cause statement are chilling. Dustin Manns didn't just stop at the assault. He is also charged with abandonment of a corpse and tampering with a motor vehicle. Currently, he is being held without bond at the Ripley County Detention Center. While the confession provides a clear picture of the physical actions taken during the crime, a motive for the killing has not yet been disclosed by authorities. The victim's sister was the one who discovered the unlocked front door and the tragic scene inside, which led to the rapid mobilization of the Missouri State Highway Patrol. This case has stunned the local community due to the unusual choice of weapon and the direct admission of guilt. Dustin Manns now faces a long list of felony charges as the legal process moves forward.
Next, the Joker rifle arrest. A man from Arizona was arrested near the Trump National Golf Club in Los Angeles while carrying a highly customized and dangerous weapon. 36-year-old Sean Steiner was spotted by a concerned citizen as he hiked through trails and ran through traffic while wearing body armor. When deputies caught up with him, they found he was carrying an AR-style rifle painted in green and purple to resemble a toy, complete with phrases from the Batman movie The Dark Knight, like "Why so serious?" and "Let's put a smile on that face." In addition to this Joker-style rifle, Steiner was allegedly carrying 2 loaded handguns, high-capacity magazines, and extra ammunition. He told the police that he was in the area specifically to get some anger out, and he even admitted to firing one of the pistols near a landslide area.
The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office has filed multiple felony firearm charges against Steiner. Prosecutors noted that the rifle was modified to look like a toy, which is a significant concern for public safety and law enforcement. Along with the weapons and body armor, Steiner was also carrying a duffel bag and a step stool. He is not the registered owner of the firearms he was carrying in public. Despite the alarming nature of the arrest and the proximity to the former president's golf course, Steiner is currently out on bond. The sheriff's office expressed disbelief at his admission of firing a weapon to vent anger, emphasizing the danger he posed to the public. This case highlights the ongoing challenges law enforcement faces, with individuals carrying illegal, modified weapons in highly sensitive or public areas.
Now, an Indiana park threat. In Lafayette, Indiana, a woman named Ashley Nicole Maxwell is facing a long list of charges after a terrifying incident at a local playground. According to police, Maxwell brandished a handgun from her fanny pack and threatened to shoot children who were playing at Columbian Park. The witnesses, who were between the ages of 7 and 14, told officers that she specifically threatened to light up one of the children and even claimed she would blow up the park. When police caught up with her shortly after the incident, they found her driving with 6 children in her car. Maxwell, who has a prior felony conviction, was also charged with unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon. The situation was made even more complex by the fact that her driver's license was suspended and officers reported smelling marijuana on her breath.
The charges against Maxwell are extensive, including multiple counts of intimidation with a deadly weapon and criminal recklessness. The fact that she was a serious violent felon already prohibited her from carrying a firearm, yet she allegedly had it accessible in a public park full of families. Police were able to identify her vehicle thanks to a license plate number provided by witnesses, leading to a traffic stop just half a mile from the park. During the stop, she was wearing the same blue shirt and crossbody satchel described by the children. She also admitted to having marijuana in her pocket when questioned. This incident has caused significant alarm in the Lafayette community, as it involved direct threats to young children in what should be a safe public space. Maxwell remains in custody as the court prepares for her upcoming hearings.
Next, a tragic Arizona strangulation. A horrific case of domestic violence has emerged from Tucson, Arizona, where 32-year-old Martin Mayerkin is accused of murdering his girlfriend, Caitlin Roy. Prosecutors allege that Mayerkin strangled Roy to death in front of their 3 young children, aged 7, 5, and 3. According to the police affidavit, Mayerkin admitted to placing Roy in a rear-naked chokehold for 3 minutes, taking a 2-minute break and then resuming the choke for another 5 minutes until she was no longer responsive. Neighbors had called the property manager after hearing the children screaming and crying. When the manager opened the door, they found Roy on the floor, and the children huddled in the bathroom. Mayerkin was still standing over her when help arrived. He reportedly had scratches on his chest and back, which he claimed were from Roy fighting back during the assault.
Mayerkin is now facing first-degree murder charges along with 3 counts of child abuse for committing the act in front of his children. During his first court appearance, his public defender argued for a lower bond, pointing out that Mayerkin had no prior criminal history. However, the judge was unmoved by the lack of a record given the brutal nature of the crime, and set the bond at $1 million. The children are now left without their mother, and are likely facing significant trauma after witnessing the event. This case has deeply affected the Tucson community, highlighting the lethal potential of domestic disputes. Mayerkin remains in the Pima County Jail awaiting his next court date on April 24th. The prosecution is expected to present the full details of his confession and the evidence gathered from the scene as the trial moves forward.
Finally, the Uber driver shooting. In Oregon, an 18-year-old has been arrested for a fatal shooting that occurred nearly 2 years ago when he was just 16. The suspect is accused of ambushing an Uber vehicle and firing 17 to 18 times at the passengers inside. The driver, 42-year-old Joshua Kelvin, was caught in the crossfire and died at the scene. One of the 2 teenage passengers was shot multiple times and suffered serious, long-lasting injuries, while the other managed to flee on foot. Prosecutors in Multnomah County revealed that the suspect and an accomplice had specifically planned to ambush the 2 passengers, and the Uber driver was an innocent victim of their targeted attack. The suspect now faces 10 charges, including second-degree murder and attempted murder. Because he was a minor at the time of the shooting, the case is currently being handled in juvenile court.
The details of the investigation are quite complex. The prosecutor told the court that the same gun used in the Uber shooting was allegedly used again just weeks later to shoot the passenger who had escaped the first time. Furthermore, the suspect is accused of using that same firearm to injure another person in early 2025. Despite the severity of the allegations, the suspect was not initially in custody when he arrived for his court appearance this week. However, after hearing the details of the case and the ongoing danger posed by the suspect, the judge ordered him to be taken into custody immediately. The surviving victim continues to struggle with the physical and emotional aftermath of being shot 7 or 8 times. This arrest brings a sense of progress to a case that had remained unsolved for a significant period.
That wraps up our briefing for today. Thank you for joining us for these important updates. Be sure to follow us for your daily roundup of the stories that matter most.